Chapter 16. He was patient. An unmarked panel truck drove to the gates of the Axis Chemical Company. He was about to be rewarded. The gates opened. The truck passed through. He turned on the headlights and stamped the accelerator. The Batmobile roared from the darkness. The hood and the guard's uniform tried to close the gate again, but the Batmobile smashed its way through the steel bars before they could lock as the hood jumped out of the way. "It's Batman!" The guard screamed. It was nice to be recognized. The guard took out his pistol and shot the car. The bullets bounced off the Batmobile's steel frame. He had stopped in front of a pair of large steel doors, the main entrance to Axis Chemical. He opened the Batmobile's flaps, then pressed the second button, to position the heavy-duty machine guns. Time for the third button, the red one. The guns fired, demolishing the steel doors. He saw the guard from the gate run away. He flicked another switch, and the guns retracted into the body of the car. He drove the Batmobile through the new opening into the Axis Chemical Company. He saw a dozen or more punks running for cover. They opened fire on the Batmobile machine guns. There were too many bullets. There were already cracks forming in the bulletproof glass of the windshield. If enough bullets hit the glass, it would shatter. He put up the shields. The punks kept firing. He let them. Their bullets couldn't do any more damage now. He flipped another switch on his control panel. The robot arms extended themselves from the hubcaps, each arm holding a sufficient quantity of plastic explosive. He instructed the arms to stretch to their limits and to deposit their loads in a circle around the Batmobile. He flipped the red toggle switch. A red number flashed on the digital display. 15. Then 14. 13. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. He stopped breathing. The monitor display changed to a single word. Detonate. The building detonated, a ball of fire rising into the night sky. He waited for a moment for the debris to settle, then drove the Batmobile out of the rubble and back to the gate. He walked out of the darkness and patted the Batmobile on the fender. There were a couple of nicks on the windshield. Besides that, he couldn't see a scratch. He put the remote control into his compartmentalized utility belt. The Batmobile purred beside him. There was a loud chugging sound as a helicopter rose from behind one of the Axis Chemical buildings, not demolished by the blast. A dozen searchlights came on, all pointed at the Batman. He jumped around the Batmobile behind the steel gate as he was surrounded by machine gun fire. The chopper roared overhead. "Not even close!" The Joker's voice screamed from the loudspeaker above. "No cigar, fool!" His chuckle echoed through the machine gun fire. "I'm going to the festival. You really ought to show up. I'm gonna kill 1,000 people an hour until you do." The Joker started laughing again as the chopper banked away from the Axis Chemical Company and headed for the searchlights of the Gotham City Festival. Laughter. Have you ever danced? Laughter Batman had heard before. Have you ever danced with the devil? Laughter he had heard in his dreams. Have you ever danced with the devil by the pale moonlight? Laughter he swore he would never hear again. Such a peaceful night in the Gotham City warehouse. The night watchman, the only night watchman in the whole peaceful warehouse, sat reading one of those lurid tabloid newspapers. Pygmy flying saucers land in Russia. Ghost of Elvis lose 60 pounds on miracle diet. Didn't he know that stuff didn't happen in real life? Real life was much more fantastic. One of the boys knocked the peaceful night watchman on the back of the head, making sure he'd be peaceful for hours to come. The Joker ordered the rest of the gang to follow. Somebody turned on the lights, and the boys got to work. They started the generators, climbed into the cabs of the parade floats, and quickly began to inflate the pitifully withered giant balloons. No, this wasn't going to be a dull daytime parade. This parade was going to march down Broad Avenue in the middle of the night. His announcements had been playing on Gotham City television sets for hours. Come see the parade and make a few bucks besides. He expected quite a turnout, even at the witching hour. People always wanted something for nothing. Too bad he'd forgotten to mention all those other little dividends he intended to give the crowd as well. He was such an absent-minded Joker. Oh well. He was sure they'd all be very happy with their newfound wealth in the few minutes they had left to enjoy it. Generators growled to life, powering the giant searchlights. The doors of the warehouse opened, and the trucks started for Broad Avenue, towing their searchlights and floats and giant balloons. The Joker's favorite float was the one with the throne and the giant banners that read 200. The last of the trucks rumbled to the warehouse doors. Joker waved at all of them. This was going to be the most perfect parade ever, and it was only the beginning. I'm prepared to rule the world! He screamed. And then he started to laugh and laugh. After tonight, he didn't think he would ever stop. They lined Broad Avenue, first hundreds and thousands of curious citizens waiting for a midnight parade and all that free cash. And the Joker wasn't about to disappoint them. One of the searchlights trucks came first. A parade's no good unless you can see it after all. Amplified rock music blasted from huge speakers mounted on either side of the light. Boom shakalaka-laka, boom shakalaka-laka. The citizens, a trifle cautious before, started to get into the spirit of things. Some of them were dancing, others cheering, but all watched as the searchlight's beam focused on the leader of the parade, a giant balloon above them all. A 50-foot-long cartoon clown leering contentedly at the crowd below. Then the truck towing the balloon turned the corner onto the parade route. The crowd gasped as they saw the float, full of historical figures, one of whom might have been John T. Gotham, and those wonderful banners, Happy Birthday Gotham City. How appropriate, the Joker thought, to have the birthday parade at night when the real city came to life. And there was more to come. A dozen floats showing the finest details of this fair city. And the giant balloons. Boom shakalaka-laka, boom shakalaka-laka. The citizens were having a good time now. It was about to get even better. That's when the money started to fall. The air was filled with thousands of dollar bills. The citizens were amazed, but where was it all coming from? Yes, there. Look up. In the middle of the swirling money, look carefully, citizens, at the float in the lead. There, in the middle of all the historical figures, including even John T. Gotham, was a throne. And on that throne was the Joker, surrounded by some of the best of his boys. Bob, good old Bob, handed the Joker bundles of dollar bills. Joker pitched the bills up, and away, right into the path of a giant fan, conveniently located for maximum circulation. Boom shakalaka-laka, boom shakalaka-laka. The greenbacks fell from the air. People realized that there was real money coming down. Now the citizens got really excited. The amplified rock music had a vocal on now. The Joker sang along. Boom shakalaka-laka, boom shakalaka-laka. This was the best. He had only one more thing he wanted to know. Have you ever danced with the devil by the pale moonlight? This time, he could ask all of Gotham City. Welcome, everyone! The Joker's amplified voice announced. Enjoy yourselves! Open those hungry wallets! Viki Vale couldn't believe what was happening here on the streets around Gotham Square. Coral Maltese, in the middle of a firefight, was not as chaotic as what was going on in front of her. The crowd was pouring in from everywhere, people climbing over each other, trampling others underfoot, all grabbing for the money falling from the sky. She got back to the sidewalks against the buildings, away from the worst of the melee, trying to get a few good shots for the globe. She remembered what she thought a few days ago about the Joker wanting to start a war. Well, now the war was here, but the combatants were all of the people of Gotham City fighting themselves. A car horn blared behind her. Was Joker after her again? She turned quickly, ready to run or fade into the crowd. Viki! It was only Ollie Knox calling to her from his car. She jumped into the passenger seat. Ollie looked over at her. You think Batman will show for this? Viki looked out at the anarchy that reigned across Broad Avenue. He'll be here, she replied. Ollie Knox grinned and like a young boy running through a playground. He started the car and drove slowly into the crowd. It was well after midnight. Most of the city was dark beneath him, but in the middle of it all was a streak of blazing light. He banked the Batwing, sliding the aircraft between the skyscrapers. He'd have to land on Broad Avenue. That's where the Joker would be waiting. Knox's car had pushed through the crowds to the end of the parade. Viki leaned from the window, taking pictures of the madness. Look at that! Allie yelled. Viki looked around. He was pointing straight ahead where one of the floats had jumped the sidewalk and crashed into a lamppost, bringing it to a stop. People swarmed over the float, fighting with the Joker's goons as they grabbed for the floating dollar bills. Viki started snapping pictures through the front windshield. Pull over, she instructed. Knox eased the car to the side of the Broad Avenue. Not that in this crowd it didn't make much difference where they left it. Allie whistled. Man, this is sick! Viki tried to open the door against the press of the mob. She wanted to get a better angle of what was happening in front of them. She'd have to stay close to the car, though, or she'd get swept away by the crush of people. A girl could get hurt in a place like this, Allie yelled as she pushed herself from the car. She leaned back against the fender, letting the crowd go by. She looked above the damaged float, up to a gigantic balloon that bobbed and weaved above the crowd. She took a quick photo, then reached into her camera bag for her telephone lens. She rapidly changed lenses and tilted the camera up to get a closer shot of the balloon. She noticed something else up there besides the balloon. In the searchlight's glare, something green. as she focused the lens. It was like smoke leaking from one of a number of large metal cylinders attached to the underside of the balloon. A cylinder that must have crashed against the building when the float went up on the sidewalk. Smoke, she thought, or gas. The heavy green cloud drifted down toward the crowd. She looked down at the Joker's henchmen on the float. They saw the cloud too and quickly donned gas masks, so she was right. Some of the other people on the float weren't so lucky. She looked back through her telephoto lens and saw a couple of them gasping for air. One of them collapsed onto the float, his mouth twisted into a rictus grin. It was gas then, made from the same chemicals the Joker had used to sabotage all the prepared foods and beauty aids. What did he call it? Smylex. The deadly green gas settled over the float, then spread through the crowd toward Viki. Those balloons are full of Smylex gas, she yelled at Knox. He's going to kill everybody! Allie leaned over and forced open the door to the passenger side. He held his hand out to Viki. Some of the crowd in front of them realized that there was something wrong. They started to panic, pressing into the other half of the mob, trying to reach the flowing money. Get in! He screamed over the crowd noise. Close the door! There was a noise overhead like a jet engine, even louder than the crowd. She looked up. Some sort of black aircraft blotted out the moon. Viki stuck her head in the door. We've got to cut those balloons loose. She took a deep breath, trying to quell the panic she now felt rising in herself. I think I saw Batman. We've got to warn him. Knox grabbed Viki's shoulder and pulled her the rest of the way into the car. She leaned back into the passenger seat, trying hard not to hyperventilate. He leaned over and slammed the car door. Don't move, he told Viki. He jumped up on the driver's side. Allie, Viki began. What was he doing? He'd get himself killed. He ran quickly around to the trunk and pulled out a toolbox. Viki realized he hadn't used the key to open the back. The car was still running with the key in the ignition. This old rattle trap of Knox probably didn't even have a lock in the back. He lugged the toolbox up past the driver's seat and placed it on the hood of the car. He grinned at Viki as he opened the box. She could hear tools clatter as he rummaged around the side. What are you doing? She demanded. He tied a white anti-dust mask over his face and then picked up a wicked-looking pair of wire cutters. Viki started to open the door. Stay here! He held her through the mask. Let me do this one thing! Viki let her hand fall from the door handle. The panic had exhausted her completely. There was no way she could move fast enough to stop Allie from doing whatever he darn well pleased. The closest part of the crowd had stamped out of the way, leaving a clear path for the float. Allie tossed the toolbox into the back seat and ran toward the spraying gas. Allie, please be careful, she called. Knox reached to the float, dodging those people still fighting for the money or struggling with the effects of the gas. The Joker's men were busy kicking bodies out of the way. Nobody noticed Knox as he leaped up between the miniature recreation of Gotham City Hall and the cathedral. He reached the corner of the float and started to work on one of the balloon's moorings. On the third try, he cut through the cable. Half of the balloon started to rise, lifting the deadly gas along with it. That's when the Joker's men noticed him. Knox dodged the first hail of bullets, moving toward the moorings. Then someone shot from behind him. One of the bullets connected. Knox went down. Viki had enough of this. The bullets had started her adrenaline flowing over again. Nobody was going to be a dead hero when she was around. She jumped into the driver's seat and floored the accelerator. The car screeched to a halt at the edge of the float. Knox quickly rose and dove for the hood. Miraculously, for a few seconds this took, nobody shot at them. The spell was broken by the time Viki had regained the driver's seat. Bullets flew from everywhere. She stampeded on the accelerator as the rear window shattered in a shower of bullets. The rear window on the passenger side was next. She got the car around the corner, but the bullets had hit something vital. The engine died. She pulled the decimated machine up on the sidewalk, so the bulk of Gotham Cathedral was between them and the goons with the guns. Still, they could get picked off in a second if they stayed in the car. Viki got out and cautiously walked around to the passenger side. There was no gunfire. They had made it far enough around the corner so they could no longer see the float. And more important, the gunman on the float could no longer see them. Knox groaned as he slew off the car hood. He tried to walk as she supported him, but his legs kept collapsing underneath him. There was blood flowing from his forehead. Breathing heavily, blood streaming down his face, Knox looked up at her. He tried to grin. "You were great, Allie," Viki reassured him as she glanced cautiously out at the street. "But don't try any more heroics tonight." Knox didn't answer her. She looked back down at him. He had passed out.